I'm known to both of you, but I think you need to. So that's Air. He calls himself Atma in Ravi. He is a philanthropist. He helps poor people and spiritualists, and he's made me who I am. I mean, that's who he is. He's made me. If you see me as an entrepreneur, successful or enterprising, it's because of him. His trainings. I worked for him for 10 years. The prime 10 years of my life was with him. So that's when I.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's when I must introduce even Dr. Shola Purwala is a nuclear scientist. He works from.
Good evening.
He works from 5 a.m. to night 12 o'clock. He has a lab in Mathusandra, and he manufactures. He secures us. He gives us sleep in the night. We sleep peacefully because he helps in guarding the country. And in my life, he's been someone who's helped me raise Isha. So he has 2 daughters. So I would always ask him about parenting and all of that. So I would raise my daughter he's my customer otherwise. He's got a lot of things from me. I think about 50 or 100 weapons from me and art collector. So it's nice that we start now, and we can talk about the topic now. I think we must talk to each other first, and then we could talk about what's happening in society. And today's motto of this meeting is to see how the society is shaping up into a very rural way. It is not going upward. It's not evolving. It is going down. And you people are the influencers. People will listen to you. People will understand, and some change can come. Some help can come on earth. So I would like RBM to start, and then his book, The Fear. That's what I think this whole meeting is, because he wrote a lovely book called Talking About Fear, and that was just so ideal for this time that we need to talk about it, and people just keep quiet and listen and don't even question themselves. This book has made me question. What are we doing? Is it right that we are living in this fear? So I think the author should first begin his talk.
Sure. Good evening.
Great evening, Doctor. Nice to meet you on the Zoom call, and lots of things to say for you, and it's very nice to make this call together. So basically, I think that since she wants to talk about the book Fear, I would just share a couple of things on that, and then my mission of life is like you have a mission. She says that you're up from 5 a.m. in the morning till late night. I don't believe.
Yes.
I don't believe you're working. It's your passion. So
yes, it's my passion. Correct.
When it's your passion, then it doesn't matter what day of the week it is or what time.
Absolutely. Correct.
So that's what makes the difference between somebody who's successful and not. So, because I have moved on in life, I'm no more. I wrote a book last year. It's called Success is Not Happiness. Happiness is. So people are chasing success to be happy, but actually you don't have to chase success to be happy. But now what Sonu got the book, it was in these times when the whole, not just the country, even the world, instead of, as a doctor, instead of developing what we call herd immunity, we are developing herd anxiety.
Absolutely. Correct.
We're all following each other's anxiety.
Right. Very true. Very true.
I don't know where it's leading to. It's not leading anywhere.
No, I personally think we are going to really have a tough time ahead, because the coronavirus is not understood well. It is just like measles, rubella, mumps, etc., which happened many years back. The only problem is some of them earlier were medical viruses, but this is a man-made virus. So it has been engineered in such a way possibly for a biological war. But there was a mishap possibly in Wuhan, where this whole thing has got jeopardized and a lot of people have died internally in Wuhan itself. So when you have possibly a virus which has been engineered, a military virus, it will take more time to find out the vaccine.
Okay.
And maybe that is the reason why the government not being prepared and not having sufficient time to make a virus, get all the things together, are possibly through the press and the media are causing tremendous amount of anxiety and fear. You are absolutely correct. I strongly believe that it is the fear which is finally going to kill the people, because there are people who are also in the house without food, and the only people who can remain without food is only can be fear of death, nothing else. So I personally feel that is the main reason. It has been a little bit overdone, that's all.
But don't you think that more people should come forward, doctor, and kind of voice an opinion? Because what's happening is the economic crisis. I'm not so much into being in the economics anymore myself, but understanding the kind of hardship faced by people, and it's such a myth that what they are doing in lockdown, actually the kind of poor people in our country, 10 people living in a small room. You talk of social distancing, but you and me know it, that social distancing is a farce. I mean,
Yes, it's not possible.
Is it possible to maintain really social distancing?
No. See, even after the lockdown is over, I think it is going to be very difficult, because the real disease will start after the lockdown is over.
Exactly.
So this lockdown has no meaning, but possibly it is the government who has done this to just earn some time and retard the reaction. But to the best of my knowledge, I think after the lockdown is over, the real problem will start. Because we Indians having a herd mentality, there is always a possibility that 1 or 2 or 5 guys will get into a crowd and actually it will be a havoc. So lockdown, according to me, has got a limited meaning, but not a long time solution.
So people are talking about this flattening of the curve. Actually, what it's done is it's postponed the curve. It only pushed the curve. The curve is the curve in a country like India.
Absolutely.
If the virus is not going to hit, it's not going to hit. It's a different matter. That's symptomatic. Since it's not really a killer disease like the Spanish flu of 1980.
Yes, correct. Absolutely.
But if it is going to really hit, then nobody's going to be able to stop it, because from tomorrow, lockdown from tomorrow, then it will become there. Once again, it will be completely. The cases will go in black.
Correct. Right.
New York
I think
can be considered for flattening of the curve, I think, because New York already did a testing of a testing time, they spread it, and then now we can say they actually are flattening the curve. We really are not flattening the curve in the real sense, because we don't even know what is
right.
there.
But I think we are not in the curve at all right now, because majority of the people have not been checked for COVID virus, isn't it?
Exactly.
See, in Gujarat, in India, Ahmedabad, when they did sudden testing on the road, they have got about 3,000 cases, because they have tested those people. If you see the histogram, it's very clear. Those who were tested in Surat, in Gujarat and Ahmedabad, suddenly we have got thousands of people who have got coronavirus. They have been tested positive because they went on the road and tested them. Here nobody is tested, so nobody knows. And besides, the virus, as time passes by, it starts getting more and more reduced. People's immunity develops over a period of time. So finally, everybody will get this COVID virus of some sort or the other, depending upon the immunity. It will just go away.
The biggest problem is this. The problem is that all over the world, that data and statistics show that this is affecting people who are A, over 65, 70, 75. We all know it. And B, it is affecting those people who have got comorbidities. People who have got some other health condition. Correct? Now, where is our attention to these two segments? Right. Our attention to these two segments is zero.
Correct.
So, very sad. We should have paid a lot of attention on people who are over 65. We should have paid
absolutely.
a lot of focus. But I don't know. With all due respect to all the advisors and all the scientists and doctors who have been in that committee to decide, who am I? I am nobody to make an opinion. But as a philosopher, my objective is to help people realize the truth. You know,
Yes.
I don't know whether Sonu has said much to you about this. See, if you look at this, what is this? Anybody will say, if you look at this, they'll say it's a ring, because any human being will look and say it's a ring. But in reality, in the Upanishads of India, in the Vedas and the Upanishads, they say this is not a ring. It looks like a ring, but actually it is only gold. If you remove the gold from this ring, then where is the ring? If I remove the gold and throw it away, then if I say where's the ring, there is no ring. So this is what in the Vedas, in the Upanishads, they talk about it as Ghor Avidya.
Yes.
It is gross. It's unfortunately we are only seeing the ring, but we are not seeing the reality behind the bottom. So
Incidentally, I am reading the Vedas and Upanishads right now in the night every day. And my wife runs a yoga class. So one day you should come and give a lecture once everything is clear. It will be great.
What lecture? I mean, I'm happy to share.
Sure. In fact, I don't know, you may not remember, but I met you many years back.
Okay, when was this and where was this?
That was in Kemp Fort.
Okay.
On top, you remember you had some renovations going on.
Okay.
And there was a renovation work going on in the Kemp Fort premises long time back.
Yes, it was. We had several rounds of that, but we met.
And then there were you had imported a lot of toys, and there was a massive sale going on of toys.
Okay, yes, I remember that.
And that is the time I had brought my elder daughter, who is right now 26 years old. I had brought her when she was very small.